Warning: it is important that prior to performing this or any other safety or service procedure on any Heil product, that the person performing the work has both read and firmly understands the parts and service manual as well as the product operator's manual, including the detailed safety instructions that accompanied this vehicle. If there is anything that is unclear or that you don't understand, do not attempt to operate the vehicle or perform any of the service or maintenance tasks called out in this video. Quarantine the area, walk away from the vehicle, and contact your supervisor immediately for clarification. It is also important to ensure that you are wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment, hereafter referred to as PPE, prior to beginning this or any other service or maintenance procedure. Hey, I'm Travis Wallen, the Service Guru here at Heil Environmental in beautiful Fort Payne, Alabama. Thanks for joining me at the Service Shack. Today we're going to talk about how to lock out, tag out your vehicle before you or anyone else performs service or maintenance on this vehicle. Safety is the #1 priority here at Heil, and it should be in your shop too. That's why it's so important to know how to properly lock out and tag out your vehicle before you begin any maintenance or service procedure. Important: your company may have issued specific required procedures for lockout, tag out. The following guidelines are not meant to replace your company policy. Always follow your company's lockout, tag out policy. To begin, clear the area of all unnecessary people, quarantine the area, chock the tires, and ensure the parking brake is applied and holding. If your work requires that you open the tailgate or lift the body for cleaning or maintenance, prior to turning off the power, make sure that you have functioning body lift and tailgate safety props in place. Inspect them carefully before using these safety devices. If they are damaged or missing, stop work immediately and contact your supervisor. Never place yourself or attempt to perform any maintenance near a tailgate or raised body without approved safety stands and/or props solidly in place. It's a good idea to use both safety stands and props if they're available, but always use both body props. Before starting service or maintenance, it's also important to remove all stored energy from the unit. This means to lower any elevated, unsupported loads, such as raised front loader arms, automated side loader arm, or the tailgate slide and sweep. Bleed off all hydraulic and pneumatic pressure in every system circuit, as well as release any stored electrical energy in the system. To do this, first ensure that the battery disconnect is turned on and the parking brake is applied and holding. Then, with the engine off, turn the ignition key switch to the on position. Turn the pump switch on, then cycle the controls to the arms, forks, tailgate, etc. in all directions. Warning: devices or components that are held in place by electricity, air, or hydraulics can move freely with great force and weight. These must be de-energized prior to working on or around their areas. Before doing so, always ensure that all front loader arms are fully stowed against the pads or lowered to the fullest extent with the forks resting on the ground. All side loader arms are fully stowed in the transit position, and rear loader packer sweep and slide panels are fully lowered. When finished, turn off the ignition switch, remove the keys, place them in your pocket, and complete your lockout tagout by turning off the power to the battery box until the holes in the main power paddle line up. Then insert the lockout through the holes and secure the lock with your tag exposed and visible. If the unit you're working on requires you to work on CNG fuel lines or the fuel management module box, you must first do the following additional steps before finalizing your lockout tagout. Note: the following fuel system lockout does not empty or lock out the CNG tanks. No welding can be done on the unit without purging the CNG fuel system completely. Follow the proper protocol of the CNG tank manufacturer's instructions. Turn off each tank's manual shutoff valve located on the street side of each fuel tank by turning the valve knob clockwise until it stops turning. Ensure the red shutoff valve in the fuel management module box, or the FMM, remains on. Start the engine and allow the unit to run until the engine stalls to purge the fuel lines from the tanks to the engine. This may take a few minutes. Inspect the fuel gauges in the FMM box. They should both read 0 psi. If not, try starting the engine again a few times and check the gauges again. When the gauges both read 0 psi, place a lockout tagout on each tank shutoff valve. When completed, finalize your lockout tagout. Again, it will not be safe to perform work on the CNG tanks or the tank components. Only the CNG fuel lines and the FMM box will be depressurized and able to be repaired or serviced. If you're going to be working on, under, over, or around tag or pusher axles, airbag style axles, or any other components driven or pressurized by air or air storage tanks and lines, you will need to depressurize the entire pneumatic system before beginning maintenance. Before doing so, ensure that the parking brake is still applied and holding, the battery box is locked out and tagged out, then place approved axle safety stands and/or props solidly in place under the axle and follow the device manufacturer's instructions for safe usage and proper installation. Next, drain the air from the primary and secondary air system by opening the drain valves on the air tanks, or drain manifold if supplied. Warning: when draining the air tanks, do not look into the area where the air is draining. Dirt or sludge particles may be expelled in the air stream and can cause eye injury. When the air system has depressurized, close both of the air valves and begin your maintenance. Warning: pneumatically powered axles or airbag suspension can raise and lower with various chassis conditions. Do not put yourself over, under, on, or work around the axles without using safety stands or props, depressurizing the air system, locking out and tagging out the entire unit, and following the manufacturer's instructions. Simply put, locking out your vehicle means that you need to remove the possibility that someone could start the vehicle or operate any of the vehicle's functions, either intentionally or inadvertently, while you're performing service or maintenance. You do that by removing the keys from the ignition, turning off the power at the battery box, and applying your lockout tagout equipment. And don't forget that if you need extra lockout tagout tags, that you can always order them from your nearest Heil dealer by requesting part number 212-1586. Now that you've followed these steps, you're ready to begin your maintenance or service procedure. Once you've completed the service or maintenance to the body, go back and remove your lockout tagout from the battery box and/or your CNG tanks and put the vehicle back in service. And remember, there may be more than one tag on the lockout. If that's the case, that's a clear sign that someone else is working on the vehicle. If you see a second tag, investigate before proceeding further. Never attempt to remove another maintenance technician's tag from the lockout device. Only the person who placed the tag in the lockout device is authorized to remove it. Note: if you have a CNG unit, you will need to open the valves and let the pressure build back up before putting the unit back into service. That does it. Now you know how to properly lock out and tag out your Heil refuse collection vehicle. If you still have any questions, contact Heil Technical Services at 866-310-4345. Remember, we're here to help in any way we can. So be safe out there, and we'll see you next time here at the Service Shack.